this testing group for inviting me. I'm very delighted to share with you this presentation. I hope you can see my screen. So today's topic is about discovering the quality coaching role and their toolbox. Before starting in, I'd like to tell you my story, how I started in this role. It's very recent, let's say from last couple of months, beginning of this year. So I was actually a test lead in a project as an integration test lead, let's call it, and I will do mainly API testing. The project was quite complex, and I figured out, I communicated with different parties to get information. And few months later, additionally to this role, I joined also the local testing community of the assignment I was doing at the client. And I was an active member of the community. So I motivate people that are interested in software testing to talk, to share their learnings from their project into other people working in different projects. And also, I try to challenge them to get a backlog of topic in order to run within the community. So we set like frequency every 1 month we see each other. And this is going on in the community. And back to my role as a test lead, after 1 year working as a test lead, I learned a lot. It was a nice experience, but sad story happened that this project has no more budget to continue. So the project was about to close in like 1 month, let's say. And at that moment, the company was doing agile transformation. So there is a need of a role of a quality coach. And the good news that being a community facilitator and my motivation, my passion towards software testing was like some of the good points that I was the one who take this role. So I'm Emna and I work as a quality coach within Sogeti. I love adventures and I do publish, as David mentioned, my adventures, learning through my hashtag Explore with Emna on social media. And I love also games that are related to testing. And I'm also LinkedIn learning instructor. And you can find more on my blog. So today we are going to cover 3 main parts in this webinar. The first one is we are going to discover what is the role of a quality coach, why it is needed, and also as a first timer, it sounds not obvious to everyone to be first time in this role as a test lead as a background just before this position. So I will mention the challenges I faced and of course the lesson I learned in this role and the benefits I see from my perspective of being in that position toward teams and the company. And at the end, I will share with you as well exercises that you can do whether in your role as a tester, as a test manager. This could be done, whatever is your position, you can do it to initiate quality coaching within your team. Even if you don't have the official title quality coach, this could be useful for you. We saw in the chat that some of you work as a quality coach as well and different other roles. So we are going to get deeper into this role. So before starting into quality coaching, I'd like to mention what is coaching. I find this code quite engaging to explain what's the coaching role about. Tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn. Actually, coaching is about involving people, about motivating them and get them engaged to do the work. Because you can tell them, you can teach them, and there is a bunch of information, but they will easily forget it if it's a lot of information to just do what they need to do. So in that comes the definition, or let's say the difference between teaching and coaching. Teaching is more directive, whether coaching is not directive. Teaching is about instructing, making them do what's needed by giving just the instruction, advice, and telling what to do. But the coaching goes more deeper and let's say it's an engaging way. coaching unlocks the potential of a person in order to maximize their performance. So by coaching, it means also you help them reflect, you ask them good questions, you are a good listener to them. So this is what the main difference, mostly that coaching helps them to learn rather than teaching them what to learn. So here's come quality coaching. Of course, if you have any question in the chat, don't hesitate to put them and we will tackle all questions later after this webinar. So we know that quality is a value to some person that matters. And when we mention agile transformation, it plays actually an important place at many organizations. And we need coaches to help teams stay focused on the purpose of the change and coach them toward achieving their objectives. Let's talk about the move from testing to quality engineering. We used to talk about moving from waterfall to agile to DevOps to building a CI/CD pipeline, which is still an ongoing trend, and similarly for the tester role. It used to be separate, like testing is finding bugs. The tester role is finding bugs. This is like the old fashion of what's been seen as a tester role. And slowly this is developed and it becomes testing is seen as an activity and not a single phase. And here comes the quality coaching role. The quality engineering actually is much broader holistic view on quality, much more than testing. It's about building quality products from the start. It's about building quality. And we focus also on building the right things at the right moment, at the right level of quality, which aligns with the saying of quality is a whole team responsibility. But when we talk about this shift, the quality coaching role comes in order to help toward this shift and to make everyone engage into quality and to know what they need to do in their daily basis. So to keep it short, let's say why quality coaching. As what we already said in the introduction, teams and organizations, they want to be involved instead of being told what to do. And quality touches the entire ecosystem. When we mentioned quality engineering, remember the elephant, like everyone is like want to do a part, and the quality is a whole team responsibility. So as an agile coach, how we could fit into this transition and what's the role in depth. I find this definition interesting. As an agile quality coach or as an quality coach, is a role that challenges and actively supports a team or organization to build a collaborative approach toward quality. And this could be done through different, let's say, ways, such as coaching, which means for individual or for a whole team together, or through facilitation by making exercises, workshops, visual recording, or through training by raising awareness if you feel it's mandatory to do it for new things you want to teach, you still go through teaching, and mentoring as well, especially if you have beginners and you want to involve them by first mentoring them. So those are like the definition of a quality coach. And I will go quickly through the benefits through these visuals. So making quality a whole team responsibility, and people are going to learn faster. So it's a learning opportunity. You can see it as a learning way. And this will remove silos because people will communicate together, whether they are testers, developers, architects, scrum masters. They are going to have more and more communication loops together, and even between teams, they will coordinate together, which means we are going to have faster feedback and we are going to build the quality in a faster way. And this is also going to play through the motivation of people. They will be happier at work, and this help them get involved instead of being direct. And this also facilitates the move toward continuous testing, things that we speak a lot these days, like DevOps, continuous integration. So continuous testing is like, if you put well quality coaching, it will facilitate the move toward continuous testing. So this is all about the theoretical part of the role. When it comes to the real practice, the challenges are a lot. And I learned a lot, I faced a lot, so I'm glad to share them with you. And of course, there are maybe other challenges that are going to come in the future for me or for you, maybe. So one of the things when I first started in the very first days, I just had a diagram containing the overall organization, who is responsible for which testing team, a global view. So my agenda looked empty. I have this diagram. I don't know from where to start. So after some, let's say, thinking, trying to understand the organization, I just triggered every team member and asked them some questions related to their testing process, trying to understand a little bit. And then I asked them, could you forward to me your sprint planning meeting? Could you invite me to your sprint review? So I try to understand what's going on in every team. It's not surprising that some of the team, for example, were not having retrospective meeting, but those are things that I figured out over time. But I moved from having an empty agenda into an exploding agenda. I don't know where to go, with whom shall I start? Those are one of the challenges that I faced in the beginning. So the tip I give you here is to create your own agenda. Try to be intellectually and physically available for your teams. If possible, try to, for example, prioritize, say that my priority for this week is to focus more on these two teams, and the other one will visit them next week, for example, and try to ask them when they are in the office, try to meet them in person, not just with teams, if possible, of course. So creating your own agenda is a good way, and try to be, you are the ownership, and make a good decision where you should attend and where you shouldn't. And another thing, my story with the test automation, I've been asked to improve the coverage of test automation and take care of teams doing automation. So I coached them into some technical things, which went really well. But what didn't went well is I didn't ask management which level of details is expected from me. So I started just randomly asking them what they are expecting to cover. And then I mentioned in the diagram, I made some statistic. But at the end, it feels like I didn't go a lot deeper. So if I've been again into this situation, I'd ask management, what's exactly your expectation? What you want me to improve? Is it just the numbers? Is it just the way they decide which thing is the right to automate? So next time I'll try to go deeper into expectation and challenge management, and also challenge team before starting to support them on what they want to do. And another thing, like added value takes time. This is something obvious, but in practice, you can have a meeting after just 2 or 3 weeks asking you what's the value, what you have been adding as a quality coach. This is a new role, and all management are enthusiastic to see the result. Can you show us what's the value you add? So it feels like added values takes time and hard to answer this question. So what I did for that, I started small. For every team, I have some actions that I proposed, or I challenged them to come up with the solution. And I ordered in a, let's say, a backlog of action with priority. We used must, should, could. It depends on which action and what need to be done. And try to also make people responsible for actions. And at least every sprint, there is one action that needs to be achieved. So this helped me visualize better and focus on the priorities of each team and what needs to be done. Another thing also, the positioning of the role within the organization and within teams. Mostly that I moved from a test lead to a quality coach. So even my colleagues in the testing community are not aware of what I'm doing, because now I'm challenging them. I'm asking them to do what's your test strategy. They are like saying what Emna is doing. She's visiting us, telling us, but there is even no communication and what's my new role is about. So one of the things, raise awareness in our community. We mentioned the role of a quality coach, described its importance, and what are the important challenges that this role is going to address. So try to make this information accessible, and people are aware of the value from that role. Another thing, sorry for the big list of challenges, Agile coach and quality coach. This is a discussion that I faced in some of the meeting. Like you are seen as an Agile and the quality coach, and sometimes it's mixed. You don't know, maybe you have to do something which is 100% Agile coaching and another thing which is 100% quality coaching, but you are both position. Sometimes you switch from one to another. So what we did for that, we did a meeting every 2 weeks with all the coaches in the organization, which involve Agile coach, quality coach, and management, to synchronize what is our progress and what are the things that we can do in common. And all this go into building a culture of quality. Of course, those are few challenges and there could be more. So having this quality coaching is going to help you reach, like, solve problems, and also making quality a whole team responsibility. We contribute to building quality, to shift left as well, shift left, shift right, making good test design. And also every time you are going to propose an action or engage the team to do their work, you are going to experiment. Maybe it works and you do it for other teams, and maybe you do experimentation, but it won't work and you decide to not do it anymore. So, and without forgetting that testing is not a phase, it's an activity, and being a quality coach is like making a confirmation for this sentence. So now we are going to move what are the exercises that I used in my daily work as a quality coach. It's true, if we want to take them in practice, maybe every exercise is going to take us like 2 hours. So now I'm going to give a brief description. And please, if you have any question, don't hesitate to reach out to me if you want to know more about these exercises or to ask questions. One of the exercises is maybe you know Spotify Squad Health Check. It's something inspired by Spotify model. We call it Team Health Check. So what we did here, we prepared different questions. And for every question, we give options like 1, 2, 3, 4. If you answer 1, it's like very broad. We don't do it in a good way. If you answer 4, it's like we are perfect. So my questions, it's not me who answer, it's the team. And we used like the poker planning when we want to vote for user stories. It's the same style. So this meeting was done physically. All the team, product owner, testers, developers, Scrum Master, everyone is there. And we went through different themes, product maturity, the way testing is done, tools, rituals, how management is involved and supporting them, how the business is involved. So we split them into different themes, and for every themes we have like a 10 question. It took 2 hours, this workshop, and we ask them to vote. And after that, we have like 2 people, for example, put 2, others put 4, and then you start asking the person who gave the least number and the person who gives the maximum number. With that discussion, you will listen to good things. That is the starting point for coaching, because at that moment you will find if they are converging into the same discussion, or maybe everyone is telling a different story. So that's it about it. So my advice: encourage teams to regularly auto-evaluate themselves on different themes within the continuous improvement process. And while listening to teams in your meetings, even in this kind of workshop, try to use this technique as well. It's called vendor wandering. It's a Dutch word by Anne Kolder, who triggered that word. For example, if you notice that testers are not present in the refinement session, put a list. I wonder why testers are not present in the refinement session. Put a note on everything you observe that looks weird, not to laugh at it. Of course, it's a good starting point to have a coaching discussion later on, whether with the team or even with the management, if you notice that management need to be involved to make an action from their part that could help. Another thing is active listening, which is very related to what we've just said. As a quality coach, you need to be involved in active listening. It's not about listening with your ears, of course. It's about noticing how people are saying what they are saying. And maybe try also to understand how they are feeling about what they are saying. Try to get into the headspace of the person talking to you. And this is important because it will build the trust and empathy. Listen on a deeper level, clarify, and at the end, you can give a summary of what you understand to make them like trusting you that you are doing your job, and also to make them feel confident toward the things you agreed to do. Another thing that is a very good model by Anne-Marie Charette. This is called the Soon funnel. Those are like ways to ask powerful questions in a modelized way. So not just open questions that are generic, but in a structured manner. So this S stands for success. Try to ask them what success looks like. For example, if you want to apply this for a user story, you can ask them how you will know you have successfully tested this user story. And then ask them what are their obstacles. What's preventing you from doing the testing you want? Try to understand the obstacle from every person perspective. Maybe you will find different obstacles from person to person within the same team. And this is interesting for making them collaborating together and removing these obstacles. And the third question, in that sense, you can ask them, what are your options? Maybe you ask them, what testing have you already done? Try to understand, maybe they did testing on the integration level, and maybe they did also testing on front. So try to every time understand what's the options that are available. And the last one is next step. Try to understand what's the next step, what they are doing to take as a next step. Are they going to finish it, moving to the next user story, or they are going to work on some metrics, some visualization ways? So that's interesting to see if they have end goal in their mind and a good vision on what to do next. And another thing to finish with, ask great open question. So we mentioned open question, but let me give you an example. There is a sheet on Google, 20 great open question you can download. For example, you can say, instead of how will you measure success, try to ask them the question differently. What's the most important aspects in terms of quality? And then try to challenge them. Actually, open-ended questions lead to awareness and good reflection. And another advice that I'd like to give, avoid the why, because it leads to justification and people won't feel engaged to that kind of discussion. If you ask them, why did you fail? People try to avoid this conversation. So probably ask them differently. How could we have done better? How can we improve this situation next time? So that people will open up and share great story and a great feedback, a great recommendation on what needs to be done better. So this is actually the list of that I call toolbox that I used myself in this kind of quality coaching. I hope that you enjoyed this session. And in order to take full coaching advantages within your organization, please expect that you are also going to face challenges, and be prepared to overcome them with the smart strategies. Maybe the one that I gave some tips, and maybe you will figure it out other challenges, other solution. So quality coaching is like a new topic nowadays, and it's covered with lots of challenges. So that's it for today, and I have a good recommendation for you. There is a resource from Anne-Marie Charette, a quality coaching book. It's available online, so feel free to download it or subscribe. It's an online book with the generated content continuously. And thank you so much for your attention. Now we move to questions.
Yes. Thank you very much, Emna. That was really, really good. Always interesting to hear a bit more about coaching and how we can embed that into software delivery as well. There are a few questions in the chat already. If everybody wants to add either questions into the chat or the Q&A, then feel free to do so, but we'll start with the ones that are already in there. So the first one was actually from Rudolph. He'd asked, are you from a consultancy company and supporting clients, or are you in a company where you're supporting your internal development teams?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, actually, I'm a consultant within Sogeti. So when I mentioned my move from test lead to quality coach was actually when I'm on assignment at the client side. I hope this answers your question.
Yeah, I think that does answer that one. So there's another couple in here. So Gordon Wilson, who unfortunately has just dropped off, he'd asked a question saying that changes in process often meet with resistance, either due to organizational culture or pressure on delivery. So how do you sell the benefits of adopting a QA coach without having any tangible benefits to demonstrate at the outset of a program or a project?
That's interesting question. Maybe try to challenge the business expectation. If they want to accelerate delivery, for example, this is already a good starting point. Okay, you want to accelerate delivery. Can I have a discussion with your team? Then they say yes. When you discuss with your team, you find like they finish the sprint, which is 3 weeks, and they start a new sprint where they test the old sprint. So this is a good starting point to say, well, guys, you want to accelerate delivery, but your testing is taking 1 month to get delivered. What about delivering, let's say, by the end of the sprint? Maybe this starting point of the discussion, you can show them how the benefits of testing early and how are you going to have advantage on your lead time. Try to make them visualize some statistics and link them with the client satisfaction. This could help.
Well, thank you, Emma. There's another question in here from Bareth, which is, as a quality coach, what kind of testing skill can we add to developers?
Can we add to developers? Do you mean like you are a developer and you want to become a quality coach, or?
I think it's about, ask the quality coach, what kind of skills can you help the developers build to help them do more testing and better testing of their own?
Okay, that's interesting. Well, I'd say as a quality coach, first, it's interesting to have a background as a software tester because you are going to deal with different testing topics. And also, it's important to know a little bit from automation, for example, in order to challenge, for example, the testability. Are we making our software testable in order to avoid building it and then changing because it doesn't fit on the test automation? So having some technical and testing skills and also soft skills, because you are going to communicate with different people from different backgrounds. I think it's important to be a good communicator.
Okay, thank you. And Greg, you seem to be having a conversation that might be quite interesting in the chat. Was there anything that you wanted to draw out a little bit further or to ask Emma based on that?
Yes, Emma, I think it would be interesting to know where you see the quality coaching role influencing some of the kind of key performance indicators we see in agile teams, such as cycle time and defect leakage. Do you see that kind of being something that with good quality coaching, we see a kind of visible measurement of success with the practices and the coaching that we're supporting the teams with?
So if I understand well the question, it's like how can the quality coach influence the metrics, or is the quality coach helpful to challenge the metrics? I'd say it's a good starting point to see what the actual value of the metric and try to understand, first of all, what's the problem that we want to solve and why the quality coach is here. So if we want to reduce the cycle time or whatever, try to make the team agree that this is our goal. And then as a quality coach, okay, so now we want to reach that value. This is from like business perspective. Then what we still miss in order to reach that value. And at that moment, you will have a list of actions that need to be done within your teams. And when doing it, you are going to have more chances to reach the needed metric. This is how I see it. So goal, and then actions, and then prioritize them, within your teams in order to get over it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg, and thank you, Emna. Soumya and Sue, were there any questions that you would like to ask us? We don't seem to have any more in the chat or in the Q&A at the moment.
My only question was around building the trust of the team. How do you as a quality coach build that trust so as the team trust and respect you?
Thanks to Sue for the question. Well, actually, even if as a quality coach, I still do involve myself in the testing community, try to share and encourage people to share. So, for example, people say, no, I'm afraid of speaking or of sharing my experience. I try to go along with him. For example, I have an example. Someone wanted to share his experience about API testing. He was a bit afraid, so I supported him in the background in order to help him share his experience with other teams. So I think those small, let's say, actions within the community could help you as a coach to build trust with community members. And this is the starting point to trust within the whole team. And also always listen to them, propose what needs to be done. Don't stress them with a lot of actions. Try to give every time one responsible per action that you want to improve. And in the retrospective as well, you can involve different funny retrospective that engage them more, so you gain more trust.
Thanks, and there is actually another one in the chat that's come through. Rudolph is finding this very thought-provoking today, which is great. So he's asking, why does a team need a test manager? Does a team need a development manager or a business analyst manager? And why are we only focusing on test engineering for coaching?
Oh, that's interesting question. Maybe I'll share my opinions, but I won't give, let's say, an entire answer because it could start like a panel discussion, this question. Actually, I do see the manager nowadays. For example, I have test managers in different teams that I deal with. And as a quality coach, you are actively going to collaborate and delegate also things to the manager, because to be honest, you can't do everything as a quality coach. If you're dealing with 5 or 7 teams, you can't deal with all of them at once. So back to one of my challenge when I said my agenda was empty and then it was exploding. Actually, at that moment, I delegate tasks to test lead and test manager. So I tell them, this is what we want to do. I need your support in order to help me to achieve this. And this is a good starting point to collaborate between management and coaching. So it's not only when we talk about quality engineering that we need coaching. This is just to introduce you to understand the basics. But in practice, you are going to collaborate with lots of people. I hope that helps. If you have any addition, feel free to add in the chat.
There's one other one that's come into the chat. So it's about how do you track the improvements made by the team? Are there any measurements or KPIs that we should think about?
Well, for me, maybe still beginners to have all this kind of setup of fancy KPIs to track improvements. But we do have radar in Excel. And when we do the team health check, we ask them to give numbers. For example, they said for the quality of test automation, for example, it's 3, and we aim to have 4, and then we calculate the medium number that the whole team set. And after, let's say, 1 month, we do ask them the same question and see if this number increase or not. And then we have a graphics with what's actual situation, and after 1 month, for example, what's the new value. This is a way you can do it with the numbers and graphics so that it becomes visual to the team. And another way, I just put a board, like Kanban board, to do, in progress, done. If it's done, we just share in the sprint review that in this sprint we did that action, and it's done as an improvement 1. So I mean, it could be with metrics or without metrics, just to mention this is an action that is done, which solves this problem.
Thank you very much, Emna. I think that takes us nicely to the end of today's session. So thank you very, very much for joining us today. It was really insightful and great to get into such a good discussion. So it was really good to have kind of almost 15 minutes of question and answers. So thank you very much for your time. And yeah, we hope to see you at future STGs as well.
Thank you so much for having me, and see you soon.
Thank you.